All right, we are live for the Friday edition of the Mike and Mario show. And as always, it's never a dull moment in this world of distractions, diversion tactics, debt, and bombs, you name it. But as always, excited to connect. Looking forward to having you guys chime in and share your thoughts on what you're keeping an eye on. And so let me close a window on my side. I hear myself. But Mario, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, Mike, and you?
I got on and I can hear myself. So there's something wrong with
Yeah,
that. Okay,
that's
but
clear
we're
now.
good.
Mm.
All right, so we're good to go now. So as always, welcome to the Mike and Mario Show, everybody. Excited to be back, and as always, definitely let us know where you're watching from, and we'll definitely love to get some Q&A when we get to that portion. But lots of things worth touching on, and so of course, Mario, we have the U.S. back at it again in the Middle East, never taking a day off. Always need more, I guess, destruction because destruction
Yeah,
at this current moment keeps the system going. Because if they were to have a moment of calm and peace, then that wouldn't be good for the warmonger slash debt enthusiast, you name it. But at this current moment, I guess, what are you keeping your eye on the most outside of that and whatever else? And then we'll get into some of these articles or whatever.
yeah. Just before, yeah, the U.S. and the U.K. They're like supporting the big armaments companies. They've just blown a few $100 million today, so that helps some Northrop Grumman and all the other ones. But what am I keeping an eye on? Well, you know, there's so much out there, but I think. Uh, the underlying problem is the debt,
Mm-hmm.
and we've seen, I think Zero Hedge reported that the budget deficit was worse than expected in the US.
Yeah.
We've got like over $7 trillion maturing in old debt this year, plus the probably around 2 trillion in
Mm-hmm.
deficits that will have to be financed. That might even be more, seeing that this deficit keeps rising. And
Yeah.
here in the UK as well, we just saw that the prime minister took a train to Ukraine today,
Mm-hmm.
instead of flying, to promise then a few billion pounds more, and like we can afford that.
Right, right.
So
So the U.S. has been the same. Every it seems like once a month there's some type of aid package being sent out to Ukraine, whether it be military, ammunition directly or more funds. And so that was something that's been going on now for over a year. But now we have the extended crisis in the Middle East with the Israel-Gaza situation and all the events that's unfolding from that. And now we got the Yemenis, Houthi contagion. Of course, that's how that's impacting the Red Sea. And I'm seeing articles about how that's going to slow things down and literally having to reroute all the international goods around Africa is going to slow things down. So we're going to have some supply chain issues coming in the near springtime. And on top of that, so let's get into the debt situation, though. You hinted at a couple of the articles we're going to touch on here. So you referred to the article from Zero Hedge. It says U.S. budget deficit soars by 50% in December as fiscal collapse under Biden accelerates. And so it just shows more interesting graphs here. But I think to go down to the very bottom here, lets us know the what's at stake here. So this is what we're facing right here. U.S. budget deficit is continuing to climb, and there's no end in sight. And so it says here, as a final year mocking data point, the December budget of 129.4 billion was more than 40 billion higher. That 8.75 billion median estimate was more than 50% higher compared to the 85 billion December fiscal deficit in 2022. So everything's supposed to be hunky dory according to the way they're trying to make it seem, but it's not. And so here's the other thing you mentioned as well: 7.6 trillion of U.S. government debt will mature the next year. And so at this current rate, with interest rates ultimately extremely high compared to the rates that debt was taken out at, what will have to happen between now and that time so that this doesn't directly bring down, I guess, the entire debt market, aka the banking sector and everything in between, in your opinion?
well, I think maybe the fact that the economy seems to be slowing down might help it, but at the same
Mhm.
time, if the economy slows down, they're going to get less tax receipts.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say it might help if the economy slows down, it means that investors are going to buy more treasuries, and we've seen that in the last couple of days. For example, the 2-year note yield dropped by like almost 50 basis points. So that makes financing this 7.6 trillion, a little cheaper, but I think we're such high levels, in yields. We're still above 4% in the 2 year, and
Yeah.
above 5% in all the maturities before that. There's going to be a problem. I don't know what can, stop things from imploding. Maybe Martians land and buy treasuries. That's the only thing I can think. Or maybe the deep state, or the powers that be, make peace with everyone in the world, and stopped bombing other countries, and stopped sanctioning other countries, and that's the only way I see it. So
Yeah.
I don't see a solution. Or maybe the Fed will have to step in and start
Mm,
printing again.
correct.
That's what I see.
And that's what I was getting to, or going to get to, is the fact that I was listening to some commentary earlier. They were talking about how, at this current moment, given all the things that's happening right now, how I think there's some rate cuts that are highly favorable for pretty much every time the Fed meets this year, signaling the fact that they're intending on literally pivoting. And that pivot right there will probably help escalate this whole war situation, as more debt is needed for that, as well as lower rates to help, I guess, cover up some of the issues they're having with this debt crisis as well. So basically, the Fed stepping in, being the
Yeah.
last,
The
first
other
and
thing,
last. Go ahead.
the other thing they could do with the Treasury and the Bureau of Labor Statistics and all the statistics sector is really manipulate the numbers lower, show like a negative, come out with really bad jobs numbers,
Mhm.
tinker the CPI to go near zero, and basically say, oh, look, we need to, to cut rates, and just, they could resort to a lot of things. And with the crisis now seeming to escalate in the Middle East, with this bombing of Yemen,
Mhm.
you could we could be in a war, a serious war, and wars are always excuses to it's always an excuse to do something that you normally don't. I think it was
Right.
Ram Emanuel who said, never let a crisis go to waste.
Very true, and they will never do that. And so, one thing I find interesting is the fact that at this current moment, it looks like bombs are dropping, and typically when bombs drop, metals tend to respond. But as of now, they haven't really responded the way that I guess a lot of people would assume or hope. So here we get just got some figures up here:
Yeah,
2,047 gold,
yeah,
$23 silver, favorable. But then again, they slamming it down a little bit. Go ahead.
yeah. I mean, gold got up to 2062 today.
Hmm.
So it's coming off now. That's usually the way with the more along the U.S. market session we get, the more they sell it. The
Yeah,
paper. It's
yeah,
always like that. But it's still up $16 on the day on my system. Silver is still up 40 cents. But
yeah.
yeah, it's come off from 23.54. It's really frustrating. It's like there's always someone there, tamping it down, as the head of the CFTC said back in 2021. We had to tamp down the silver price. Why? Because
Gotta live that good
a
way.
high gold and silver price means that the dollar is rubbish.
Right. And then also, how much of this activity, as far as like it not, responding the way that typically would, how much of that Bitcoin ETF could be stealing some of the thunder that would typically respond favorably for metals? Now, all this euphoria going digital seems to be pushed down our throat by all the mainstream pundits. And we got Jamie Dimon out here, BlackRock speaking favorable of it. So,
Yeah, Jamie Dimon a few years ago said Bitcoin was a fraud, and now he's pushing it. There's definitely I feel it's a campaign to take people, make
Tell
people
people's
look
attention.
at Bitcoin and not gold and silver. So I think that's very bullish long term for gold and silver, because it means we're nowhere close to a top. I think we're closer to a top in cryptos than anything else. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so and that's
So,
I think what's his name, Larry Fink, said that Bitcoin is just like gold. It's just a safe asset, but it's not just like gold. I mean, gold
Right.
is money and has been money for thousands of years. Bitcoin doesn't have any track record. And yeah, that's the way I see it.
Yeah, now I was gonna attempt to try to play some sound bites, referring to what you're talking about. So if I bring this on the screen here, what I wanted to mention is that how what's his angle at this point. So here we got. I'll put this on the screen here. This is the BlackRock CEO, where for like it's a minute long, and he basically talks about safety, and he incorporates Bitcoin and gold in the same category, and he
Mm,
talks about how it will protect you, and it's protect you from
yeah,
global risk. And so, what's his angle is what I'm trying to get at. Like,
yeah.
why is he mentioning them both together?
I
And
think he's got two angles. One
Mhm.
is that they launched their BlackRock ETF yesterday for Bitcoin, so he's
Right.
selling it. The other one is that he knows that his fiat system, in which BlackRock operates, and BlackRock is a huge part of the system. They manage
Mhm.
10 trillion of funny money. Is they the only way to keep it going is to keep people in the game, and but with physical gold and silver, people are not playing the game, and that's what And this is a Wall Street guy, and
Yeah.
I don't trust him because in the beginning when I looked at Bitcoin over 10 years ago, it was supposed to be peer to peer, something decentralized that would replace Wall Street. But now it's been hijacked by Wall
Mhm.
Street. And
Right.
I think a lot of people are going to buy Bitcoin ETFs instead of buying the real. Well, if you can call it real, it's a digital representation or something you can't touch, a digital entry. They won't but have their own Bitcoin wallet or anything, even though a lot of people don't have a wallet right now. They keep their what they think is their Bitcoin on exchanges, and we know how dangerous that is.
Yeah. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this ETF situation advances, because a lot of maximums, Bitcoin maximums, are overly excited that, institutional funds are coming in. And then, of course, I follow this stuff extensively. And so Kathy Woods is talking about, that she has a lot of interest from pension funds and things of that nature. So they're expecting a lot of funds in there. And I'm thinking, like, this current moment, you can clearly tell how much greed has come into this sector, to where everybody who wanted to disrupt the banks now are begging and pleading with the
Yeah,
banks to bring in those funds, because they want their bags to pump. It's
it's
like,
it's just another spiel by
yeah,
Wall Street, because technology is getting like too overvalued. Uh, all the other sectors aren't doing well. Interest rates are going up. So I think Wall Street is just trying to catch a little bit of the cryptocurrency froth before everything implodes. But you can hear this sound. This is the sound of real money. Silver. I'm sticking with that. I've got some silver dollars and some crowns. These are
Mhm.
quite nice UK coins. So there you
Yeah,
go.
man. Nothing like the sound of real money in your hand. It helps
Yeah,
bring things down to reality, because you're literally dealing in the physical world rather than these digital distractions
yeah,
as
and I
everything.
understand. The digital world is important, but it's not everything.
Right.
Yeah, we wouldn't be talking here, of course, if it wasn't for the digital world. But
Right.
I think things can go too much one way, and I think they've gone too much not just the fiat currency, funny money way, but also digital and like all this crypto craze or
Right. Right.
Bitcoin craze.
100%. Yeah, man. So time will tell, but between now and the remainder of the spring and summer, like, I just think a lot of things are going to unfold, and it's all predicated on being able to sustain the current paradigm that they've set up. And so clearly, they know there's a transition underway. Now it's a matter of, like, can they control the narrative throughout the rest of this year, given all the issues the world is facing. And one thing I was also listening to earlier is people talking about coming into this presidential cycle. Like, we have in the US probably one of the biggest and most defining elections in the country's history, because it's becoming clear that it's a fight, alleged fight, between what has been labeled as evil versus good. In the fact that Trump is still out here talking about I saw a video where he's talking about, on the first day, we're going to be energy independent again. We're going to get gas down to under $2 a gallon. And he's out here selling this hope that if he gets in again, everything is going to go back to normal. And
Yeah,
people are literally
but
like, make America great again. I'm like, how? The debt load is too much.
yeah, I mean, I don't disagree that what Trump says is good.
Mhm,
It's like he wants supposedly the public to be, better off. But even when he was president, people say, yeah, the economy was doing great. But don't forget that I think in 2019, the budget deficit was over 5%.
mhm.
He kept asking the Fed to print money as well. So I think it will take more than just a year or two of Trump to
Mhm.
fix things, because America, and not just America, but the whole of Western Europe, has been on a downhill path from sound money, back in 1914 when World War One started, or when the
Yeah,
Fed was, started operating. And it's going to take more than just a year or two of Trump to fix things.
right.
And
Let me
but he's trying to get elected.
right. Let me. I'm gonna try. I'll try to see if I can play this sound clip real quick, just because I thought it was very interesting to say the least. Let me see if I can. Where is it at? Yeah. So I'll. You should be able to hear the audio on this one. So I'm gonna play it so people can hear it. Let me bring this on the screen. Oops. Let me replace this one here. See if I can get it going. Give me 1 second. Maybe it won't. No. Never
Yeah.
mind. Forgive me. Yeah, we won't do it. But anyway, so this is just a little 20-second clip where he's out here talking big about what he's going to do, and it gives people hope, man. At this current moment,
Yeah.
with so much, I guess, debt, distress, you name it, people
Yeah.
need hope. So it don't take much to get people riled up and excited.
Mm.
You know, all in hopes of them casting a vote in his favor. But then again, like based upon his previous election, we all witnessed that. When you put a ballot in, it's not necessarily going to be counted equally and fairly, and you're not going to get the result you want more than likely because our country's
Mm.
still been invaded with all
I,
types of
yeah.
potential foreign
I,
voters.
I
Go ahead.
mean, the guy that said the right thing was Ron Paul. Someone
Mhm,
asked him, how do you keep getting reelected in your district in South Texas?
mhm.
And he says, well, when my constituents ask me what I'm going to do, I say I'm going to do nothing. I'm going to keep my hands off. And they say, why? He said, well, they've been doing loads of stuff for years. Have things improved? And they say, no. So when someone says I'm going to be doing loads of stuff, uh, especially a politician, I don't
Something.
trust him. If he said I'm going to leave everyone alone, I'm going to like cut the size of government, I'm not going to help anyone,
Mhm.
because that's the purpose of government is not to take from Peter to give to Paul,
Oh,
is to just administer the rule of law. And unfortunately, that's not what's going to happen. I think I'm not saying he's going to be worse than the current administration. He'll
right.
probably be better, but I just think people need to take their expectations down a little bit, because it's more up to you than up to someone
Me
who's
probably.
in the White
Correct.
House to
Correct.
decide whether you're going to do well or not.
Right. And at this current moment, given all the resistance he's faced within his first term, it's good to say it's going to be triple that, quadruple that now, as far as the pushback from people in the executive or the Senate or whatever. Everybody's going to be against him, so it won't be something favorable he's going to be able to get through with no problem.
Yeah,
But here is a let's get this started in, and then we'll keep it moving. A couple more articles.
yeah,
From Chris, appreciate you. It says here it's speculated that the 10-year yield came off significantly recently due to Janet Yellen off-balance sheet shenanigans to manipulate its lower. If this is true, are there long-term consequences from it? Thanks.
yeah. I can. I've spoken about that because this has happened. You know, it's been happening since the end of October.
Mhm.
And how did she manipulate it? Well, she said that she was gonna be buying, not buying, but she was gonna be limiting the supply of sales of long-term paper,
Right.
and focus more on the short-term paper. So that led to a squeeze. Interest rates at the time, the 10-year was above 5. And then you had Bill Ackman, who came out this almost the same day and said, "Oh, I'm closing my shorts on treasuries,"
Mhm.
i.e., and that led to a rally. And the other thing as well is, yeah, they could be very well manipulating. They could be active, the exchange stabilization fund in the futures market, buying treasury futures. And you just need to like push the price up a bit and trigger technical levels, and everyone will follow. So the consequences are that, when you manipulate markets, you, you always create problems. And that's why we have so many economic and financial problems, because markets have been manipulated for decades. Unfortunately, government doesn't seem to, and central banks seem to think they know best where markets should be.
Right. And speaking of which, good old Janet Yellen, this is a headline just came out. It says Janet Yellen on why she predicts a soft landing for the U.S. economy. And so this came out, yeah, today. So I haven't read it yet, but she's out
Yes.
here literally trying to, encourage and promote. Things are favorable once again, and they are in control with this
Yeah.
soft landing narrative.
Yeah.
And
She's
go ahead.
trying to sell us. She's trying to sell her debt. That's why. She's
And then to counter that, you have all the big hedge fund managers, big bankers talking about, brace for something. It's coming. It's going to be the greatest. It's going to be a hard landing. And like the collapse is going to be something we've never. I'm like, okay, so the banks are talking one way, but yet our government's talking another. So clearly, I would err on the side of caution, be somewhere in the middle. Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah,
Do you
it's going to
remember
be.
when I think it was 2017 or 18, before they started unwinding the balance sheet a little bit, called
Mhm.
QT? She said, "Oh, doing QT is going to be like watching paint dry." And then, a year or two later, you had the repo crisis, and they had to, do QE again. So yeah, I think that's a bad omen there, that she said that. It means that we'll definitely not see a soft landing.
Right. And speaking of soft landing, a lot of that has to do with the condition or the health of the banks or lack thereof. And so here we got the BTFP program, and it's steadily ticking upward. And so before we went on air, we're talking about the fact that it's set to expire March 11th or March 9th or something like that. But then again, given the current condition of the banking sector in general, you believe it's going to be extended, or what are you thinking?
Well, yeah, it could be extended, or they could stop it and do something else and call it something else. I don't know, but you notice here that since uh, you know uh, the end of October, it's starting to,
Mhm.
it was pretty flat there
Yeah.
before October, and then all of a sudden started rising, and that's coincided with the period where U.S. Treasury yields have come down.
Mhm.
So that's also been maybe a way they've manipulated the bond market, giving Fed Bank more loans, and they take those loans and buy treasuries as
Mhm.
well. But it shows that because the BTFP is supposed to help the smaller banks whose balance sheets are in trouble.
Yeah.
So the more help they get, the more it means they're not out of the woods.
Right. Very true. And then there's another, let me find this talking about the bank's unrealized losses. And this person here commented basically saying that, if it wasn't for the creation of that program, then the current at the current rates, a ton of banks would have already failed, and we would have already been in the midst of some type of crises outside of what they're trying to cover up. So just going to show how the losses are still piling up, and the BTFP, I guess, can only slow things down. It can't prevent or stop, just slow things down until that whatever next comes about. So, but this is just what really happening behind the scenes when it comes to the bank. So time will tell, man. But 2024 could be the year that the banks literally are
Yeah.
exposed for what they really are, as being insolvent, as well as our government,
Yeah,
and the need for something new. Go ahead.
someone in the from the UK made a comment about 15 minutes ago, and I saw it. And you won't know about this, but for my UK viewers, he asked me, "Are you following the post office scandal?" And what that is about is that years ago, the people because here, you could buy you could run a post office from your shop or anything, and they had a software that was installed, and this software was faulty, and a lot of these people who were running sub post offices were accused of stealing a lot of money and were put in prison, or people committed suicide. And it was found out that the Fujitsu software they use, called Horizon, was actually faulty, and they allow these, and they blame these people, they put them in jail, and now it's
Mhm.
all coming out that it was a cover up. Some
Mm.
people argue that it's the biggest um, you know justice abuse of justice in history in the UK. And why is this important? Well, because I think a lot of people don't trust government or anything anymore, and this is just like a symptom of that. So yeah, that's what's
Interesting.
going
More
on.
scandals.
Yeah.
More scandals.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I would be interested to find out how the U.S. Postal Service on this side, which is running, negative every year, is still operational. But apart from our
Yeah.
government subsidizing them, yeah, they're competing
Oh
against,
yeah,
FedEx.
someone's also
Right.
speaking about the new French prime minister. He's only 34. And apparently he appointed his boyfriend or partner as the foreign minister. So he's keeping it in the family.
Oh, yeah, that spells corruption all in and of itself. What else there? Okay, let's get to some more headlines, and then we'll get into some Q&A. Here's more interesting developments in Main Street. Citigroup to cut 20,000 jobs in the next 2 years. And so, like, I've been highlighting a lot of articles talking about the layoffs and how CEOs, for the most part, all publicly traded companies are rethinking the labor market and what they need, especially given the need the inclusion now of AI and all this stuff that allows them to operate at a much leaner way. And so there's less need for overall headcount. So heading into 2024, this is going to be problematic. And then you mentioned also the tax receipts. Like, if people don't have jobs, then the government's not receiving revenue. So what do? They got to subsidize it somehow. So
I
yeah.
saw an article someone wrote in the FT, I think earlier this week, that they have to start thinking about taxes for AI. So they're already thinking, but maybe they should have an AI CEO. So you get rid of him, you save a lot of money.
Yeah, good luck with that one. Good luck with that one. What else? Here's another headline you shared with me about Volvo. It said Volvo car pauses production in Belgium due to Red Sea attack. So that's just one manufacturer. Imagine the countless other ones that also experiencing similar
Yeah,
pressure.
and this has only been happening since around November, this Red Sea problem. So it's
Right.
already affecting Volvo. It just goes to show that a a lot of this affects more like Europe, but
Mhm.
eventually it will seep through into the US as well.
Right.
And
So imagine pause in production leads to idle workers, therefore more need to lay off, slow down, or
mm,
whatever. So
shortages of
domino.
cars as well. Probably, cars will become more expensive as well. Don't know how long this is going to last, but it doesn't
Right.
seem like it's going to be solved soon.
Not at all. And the question is, how much of it is intentional? Like, because the whole Middle East confrontation, everything taking place right now is being done intentionally for a purpose. We'll find out what the purpose is. But in the meantime, here's another little headline here showing how the global South, aka BRICS nations, whatever you want to call them, are moving. They're still moving forward with their agendas, and it's not denominated in dollar terms, or it looks like it's not even the SWIFT system is no longer really even needed. So it says Tehran and Moscow don't need the SWIFT, able to conduct payments in national currencies, officials said. So this is as of 2 days ago, and so
Yeah.
Russia and Iran can do business beyond the dollar now. So yeah. All right, here. What else we got? Okay, JP Morgan. So we got this government bonds right on U.S. wholesale inflation data. You mentioned that, I think, earlier.
Yeah,
Um,
PPI came in quite low today. So yeah, markets are expecting more rate cuts. I think in beginning of the year the
Mhm.
feeling was that I think the first day of the year or two in trading, the markets dropped, and the reason was that they're paring back expectations of rate cuts. But
Mhm.
if you look at the stock market, the Dow is down 200 points, the Nasdaq is down about 15, uh, and S&P down about 5 points. So it's not really helping the stock market that much.
Interesting. Let me pull this up real quick. I won't be able to pull it up. Okay. Let's what else we got here? Let me see what other topics, and then we can get into some Q&A if you want. Let me see. Nah, that's pretty much it. That's all the subject matter worth talking on. Let's open up the mic. Not open up the mic, but let's get some Q&A. And also, if you guys want, you want to do a little face-to-face today, Mario, and see if we can get some people to join us, ask a question, share a
Sure.
thought.
Yeah.
All right.
No.
So as always, this is the Q&A portion. If you guys are interested, feel free to throw some thoughts, ideas, suggestions, highlight at RTD or at Manico64 so to stand out. And we would definitely love to see what you're keeping your eye on. And while I prepare a little link for you guys to join us face to face, you can join us on screen and share your thoughts as well. So, Mario, let me know if you see anything that stands out while I try to
Yeah.
draw this up here.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Feel free to ask any questions, guys, and make sure you note that it's a question.
yeah, that makes it easier. Join us face to face or share a thought. Give me 1 second here. Let me grab this link here. I think it was fun last year when last year, a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
we
Well,
were able to have people join us. So I want to put this in the chat now. So people,
well
you can
there's
join us. It should pop up any minute.
there's a agent Bambi said if you work for someone you are a slave. What's your opinion on those in that situation being able to vote?
If you work for someone, you're a slave. Work for someone, you're a slave. I mean, everyone
Well,
has to start from somewhere. So
yeah, and if you
everybody,
get paid, I guess you could argue that you're not a slave. But I think there are some people, and I think back in the 1800s, not everyone could vote. For example, here in the UK, the feeling was that you had to own property to be able to vote, and that if you were bankrupt or you didn't own any property, you couldn't vote.
mm,
But you know, nowadays that's completely different.
yeah,
But
nowadays,
I would say that democracy, the way we have it today, is really dangerous because it's the tyranny of the 51% over the 49%.
yeah, and then speaking of voting nowadays, especially in the U.S., with the southern invasion we have, I've seen more than enough video footage now. Everybody got a cell phone and a debit card, and so it's good to say they're going to be able to vote. And then even in California, they have mail-in. You can print your ballot and then mail it in. And so I'm
Mm.
thinking like, okay, if you can print a official presidential election documentation from home and then mail it in, imagine how many people are going to take advantage of that.
Someone made a comment here. Michael
What is it?
Kennedy, Mario, I dare not ask you. He says I banned him on Sunday. I don't think I did. I don't ban anyone unless they're being rude and spamming the chat. No, I didn't ban Michael Kennedy unless you
So,
were posing as someone else. Uh, no, I didn't. I'm not sure what you're talking about on my live stream. I didn't ban anyone.
yeah. What else we got? Let me see. So they be nothing stand. Let me see. See a lot of thoughts here. Questions.
Yeah,
Okay, here's one from LGX2 says, question, melt up or deflation? Where are we heading?
yeah, that's a good question. I think it's either way. Ugh, they're playing a really dangerous game. The powers that be. It could go either way, but either way, it's a bad thing.
Right. Hyper stagflation. Like the world's never seen, melt up in certain asset classes and implosion of others. So we will see. We're in uncharted territory, man. Like it's you can't predict or forecast anything really other than the
Right?
fact that
Yeah, Michael Kenny says, "Oh yes, you did." I don't know. What did you say, Michael? That I supposedly banned you, or
so Sam says Michael Caine was being rude, very rude and spamming when you banned him.
Oh, all
So
right,
that's
there you
what
go.
Sam said.
Well,
So basically, Mike, if you don't want to be banned, just behave yourself. That's
well,
all.
I think was he the one who kept saying fear porn, fear porn. He said it like 20 times, and
Mm,
on the chat. So
right.
yeah, I just banned him from the channel. It must could have been him.
Okay. So
You know,
speaking of which,
you could say it once, that's fine, but to
right,
spam it, I'm not gonna leave you there. Not
right,
because I don't wanna answer you.
right, and I've gotten several comments after the fact as well about fear porn. Like this guy had nothing to do with fear porn. Like, no, but when you stating what's really happening in the world, then how is that fear porn? Because it
Yeah,
doesn't
look
look
at this,
good. Like,
well, look at it today. We just seen the US and the UK bomb another country. Things are not normal. We don't live in
right,
a peaceful and prosperous and orderly world.
right. So I'm not sure how that's fear porn other than just stating what's actual, what's factual. If people are over indebted, credit cards through the roof, and losing this and losing that, it's like okay, that's reality. Don't be a victim of it. What else you got? Yeah, we don't want to see those. Could be on the blue wrenches. YouTube will ban you sometimes. Okay. Also, Mario, I assume you had to receive that email from Gmail or from YouTube talking about. I think in February there's going to be a change of terms of service in relation to certain content surrounding events, and it just highlighted events. And so I read that, and I'm thinking like, okay, what are they preparing content creators for? Basically, giving us a heads up that starting after February, certain events won't be allowed on their platform, but they didn't stipulate what event. So I'm thinking, like, okay, is that a
Yeah.
foresight into
That's
something that's
very
coming?
that's very
Or
vague, isn't it?
exactly, and I'm thinking, like, okay, so is it something planned that they know is coming to where they want to make sure they will get ahead of that and controlling
Yeah,
the narrative?
po
So
possible.
we will see. So people, if you notice some changes and get notified or not from the channels, then perhaps YouTube is definitely
Yeah,
trying to make sure you don't.
I got that email. I don't know if I read it. Thank you for telling me, though.
Yeah, it's very suspicious. Like what are they telling us that might be
Mm,
coming? So who
oh,
knows?
Daniel Saz has a question.
Says, what do you think about the impact? What do you think about impact will be from geopolitics to gold? From geopolitics to gold.
I'll let
What do
you
you
answer first, Mike.
I said, what do you think the impact will be from geopolitics to go? Well, I would assume in any other time that the world is facing such chaotic chaos from around the world, that gold would be favorable price wise. But then again, they've done a good job of being able to put a cap on gold getting gold going ballistic. So anything is possible. I think if we were to see some type of all time highs in gold moving forward beyond what we already saw, it's going to come from the east. Definitely won't come from
Mm,
the west unless something breaks. So that's my personal opinion there. But we can have all the wars that they can handle, but then again, they have managed to suppress gold, so ain't no telling if they can continue to do it
yeah.
for much longer. So
I
we'll see.
mean, I personally don't hold or buy gold or silver because of geopolitics. I
Mhm.
do it more because we are in a fiat currency system that is on its last legs. Yeah, geopolitics like today, it impacted gold a bit, but I'm not buying gold or silver or selling it because of geopolitics. So I would ignore geopolitics.
As best you can. It says, question your thoughts on the BRICS buying more gold.
I mean, last year we still have to wait for the final data, but I think it was another probably record year.
Mhm.
2022 was a record year. Why they're buying gold? Well, because gold is the anti-dollar, and if they're going to trade in their own currencies amongst each other, their currencies have to have some credibility. So instead of having dollar reserves, dollars used to be considered as good as gold up until 1971. They hold gold, and I think that's going to continue because uh, dollar is no longer as good as gold, or hasn't been for since 71, but also it's not being used as much for as the petrodollar, and that's gonna, yeah, that's why they're buying gold, in my opinion.
Yeah, I saw a recent interview with Jim Willie talking about how gold has literally replaced treasuries internationally speaking. And so he was speaking very favorably of gold and how it's already a part of the financial monetary system, rather. It just hasn't become common knowledge just yet. But basically saying that, U.S. debt is no longer worth even having. But it says, Mario, how long and how strong do you think the second wave of inflation will be?
I think it would be stronger than the first one. So we're going to see higher CPI. Yeah, I don't like to call it inflation, but it's what people use. It's price wave.
Right.
I don't know. It could last. Usually, it lasts 2 to 3 years. I'd say. I think in the '70s, it was from 1970 to '74, and then there was a correction. And then from '77 to 1982. So it could be 3 to 5 years.
Now, do you think it's going to be gradual, like 3.4, 4, 4, or like 9, 10, like could it be something like,
Yeah.
will it shoot past the 9.1 we had last July, last
Oh, I think
June?
it will. Yeah, it will.
That's scary territory. Keenan, it says, RCD, was there a bond auction? Referring
There's
to,
probably a bond auction every day these days. Let me have a look here. Bond auction schedule
and then what was the
calendar.
results of it will be the question. Are
I
they
mean,
as
they
strong?
usually come out. If you're talking about today, they come out at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So it'll come out in about 15 minutes if there is one today. Let's have a look. I've got a PDF here. Today is what, the 12th?
Well, yeah.
Let's have a look. 12th of January. There's no auction today. There was one yesterday. 10-year tips and 20-year tips. Monday is a holiday, apparently, Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then on the 18th, there's a 2-year note auction, a 5-year note, and a 7-year note. So, yeah, next week there'll be quite a bit. And the results come out at 1 p.m. Eastern, just after 1 p.m.
Now, do you think so based upon previous auctions, from what I've heard, they haven't been as productive as the government would want. And so do you think these, as we get further into the year, there's going to be less and less of them being able to actually unload some of that debt to the world, and who's actually buying at this point, especially with all
Yeah,
these other
yeah, I
products
think
being introduced?
the thing to look at is the bid cover ratio, which means how many. Let's say you sell one. Let's say you just sell $1 of treasury, and there if there's $2 bidding for it, the bid to cover is 2 to 1. So it means there's demand. You need to keep an eye on that. If that gets close to 1, that's a bad sign. Right now, it's still okay, the bid to cover ratio, and I think. I don't know who's buying it aside from foreigners who are not really buying that much. I think there's still a lot of cash sloshing around. You know, especially if yields continue to go lower a little bit, people buy it. The banks buying it, maybe even the treasury itself, they could buy it. To make the auction look good, they could buy it through their ESF.
So we will see. St. Louis says, Manico, how bad will the world get within the next few years, less than 5 years? How much empowerment and war will there be? Will the world still be around? Will the world still be about as comfortable and safe?
I would say not, unfortunately. I mean, if you look back through my lifetime, and
Mhm,
I'm 59, I think the world was much more comfortable and safer prior to 2001.
mhm.
And the other date is 2020. That marks like I don't think the world will be like it was in the 90s or 80s. So
Right.
I don't think it's going to get better, unfortunately.
Right. And I think you just look into the agenda of what the World Economic Forum has already orchestrated, and
Yeah.
the whole Great Reset agenda, you name it, they're working towards something. But looks like we got a guest joining us. Let's see what we got here. We have Mr. Aaron. Aaron, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, I think there's a delay in my audio for some reason.
Let me move myself out the way. I can hear you, but go ahead and feel free to have at it.
I
What's on your
just
mind, my
wanted to
friend?
ask, I saw your live last night, Mike, about when what's his name, Crypto King called in,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna go offline after this, but I just wanted to see if you could answer what your thoughts are on this whole Hex project, because I follow Jack at Nobody Special Finance, and he says that if you're promising this egregious return like they're promising 30 something percent every year, that it's most likely a scam. And it seems like everybody's so hush hush on this whole Hex thing, and very few people even want to talk about it. There's one person, Danny DeHeck, who's the crypto Ponzi scheme Avenger. He's talked about it a couple times, but it's been a while. So I just wanted to see what, if you could dive a little deeper into what your thoughts are on, and maybe Mario too, on the Hex project. All right,
For
thanks.
sure. Appreciate you, my friend. Great point there. And so my opinion on Hex is that based upon everything you said, I do agree 100%. And then also Reggie Middleton from Veritasium Project did a very extensive report diving deep into some of the core essence of the project there, and I trust his forensic analysis work because he's done good job, done good work with several other projects, and so based upon all that information there, everything lines up to be very scam like, and that's why I've never touched it. And it's amazing. It amazes me that it's been going this long and this strong. So I think with the SEC now cracking down on Jim Hart, we'll find out as to whether or not that he's able to hold his ground and really push back and expose the SEC for all that they've done wrong to the financial markets in general. But as of now, Hex to me is nothing I've ever put a single penny in just because it doesn't pass my smell good test. So I left it alone. So that's just my opinion. But thanks for the question, my friend. What do you think, Mario?
Well, I don't know anything about Hex. I think I've heard about it vaguely, but one thing I would do if I wanted to find out if something in the crypto world or even other things, other sectors are a scam, I would listen to CoffeeZilla on YouTube. Have you? He's good.
I've heard, never watched, but heard
Yeah.
of him.
Yeah, he's kind of exposed. Is it Logan Paul with his some of the game tokens that he had? He apparently said, buy these tokens, then you will be able to play the game that I'm gonna like create. And he didn't even create a game, and he took like almost $20 million from these people, and now he's trying to give back 2 million to stop them from suing him. So that's CoffeeZilla who exposed that. So yeah, listen to CoffeeZilla on YouTube. He's really good.
Yeah, says Hex founder should be in prison. Makes me believe he's an agent for someone. Yeah, time will tell, man. All the scam coins definitely will be phased out at some capacities. So like, and that's why I say some of the projects that I follow have use case and they are very disruptive, and those are the ones that I would be more willing to put a penny in than just these ones that pop up out of nowhere. Especially the low market cap coins that promise 1,000x returns. I'm not messing with them things. Yeah, the days of seeing astronomical gains in crypto is long gone. So you need a meme coin. People love some meme coins. I see LBP in the building. What are you talking about here? It says, I had more faith in a tally stick than crypto. It's all a scam.
Well,
Oh, my goodness.
we can start selling tally sticks, Mike.
The M&M tally stick.
They worked well though in England in the past as a form of money. It had to be certified by the king or queen, I guess, tally sticks. And then when they used to retire it, so it wouldn't inflate the system. Yeah, interesting. You couldn't create tally sticks out of thin air.
Yeah. Or we can go back to the tulips, create a little tulip mania, even though people can grow their own now. But anyway, Bitcoin, not crypto. Vivo Crystal Ray. What else we got here?
Yeah,
right,
people always say that Bitcoin, not crypto, but Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. So
right. I guess it's because the first one is the grandfather of all of them, and so for the most part, majority of the blockchains were a fork or a copy of it.
Yeah.
And they tweaked it. So whatever, that's what the people love to use. I mean, time will tell, man. The M&M coin.
Yeah.
We're gonna do 21 million.
And they'll have different colors. M&M.
Here's one that says about AppMex. Something about AppMex says, why does AppMex take BTC as payment? I think at this current moment, all the online coin dealers, for the most part, take crypto. And so I can assume same reason I take crypto on my store is because it says transfer of value. So I'll take the value if you're gonna send it to me, and I'll put it to good use. So there is a use case in it still.
Yeah, I
Gentlemen,
mean,
Mike and Mario,
and
go
I
ahead.
think a lot of people in the Bitcoin and crypto space, they are sound money proponents, and a lot of them are into gold and silver. So that
Mhm.
that helps them, I guess.
Says, gentlemen, Mike and Mario, when time comes to initiate the CBDCs, who makes the announcement in the U.S.? Jay Powell, Yellen, or Brandon?
I would say, I mean, it's a central bank digital currency. It will probably be Jay Powell with the president. They will probably make a joint announcement
Some type of
in the White
emergency
and
announcement, news flash.
and Yellen will probably be there too. All three of them, I would say.
Yeah, and I can see some type of announcement like that. Of course, once it goes through the regulatory legislative process of being approved by Congress as a legal tender form, and then I can see like breaking news. Something following the banks, like this is emergency. Da 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 da. We need to, we can get it to you directly. Download this app.
Yeah.
What else we got? Let me see. Did the app max must be about? I don't see any more questions. When do they think Simba will go part time? I don't know. So, all right, we about 50 minutes, man. I don't see any direct questions. We did get one person join us with a great little question or whatever. So what else we got coming up here? We got approaching the middle of the month. Anything coming up noticeable or worth keeping an eye on, in your opinion, outside of any surprises?
Not really. I don't know. I mean, just keep an eye. Oh yeah, we tomorrow we got elections in Taiwan. I think that could be significant.
Mm,
Brandon said he's going to send a U.S. official there next week after the election. China, I think their military said that talk of independence would be serious. The Chinese military, so that's another geopolitical crisis that could um, develop.
right. Yeah. So the U.S. would literally be spread thin. We're doing events in Yemen. Then they're gonna be sending stuff over. I mean, we already got assets over near Taiwan. So,
Yeah.
oh man, and it could be this could be a year. Literally, the greatest distraction to really keep people's attention off the debt issues is more escalations in around the world, like more things popping about the blue. And as of right now, there's not much activity that we know about for our U.S. presence in Africa. But then again, that's a place that's highly sought after by a lot of world forces. So I can see something popping off there as well. So we will see. But as always, people, it's always good to connect with you on Fridays. Hope you guys had a good time hanging out with us and getting some questions and answered and things of that nature. Have a blessed weekend. Stay out of trouble. Enjoy life. And yeah, keep doing what you're doing.